So let's rock on with some hypno-magic. I left you guys with an interesting question before lunch. Did anyone have a chance to think about it? Did anyone get obsessive like, "Arr"? The question is, you can tell fractionation is working, can't you? Okay, so the question is this. You know how to take an experience someone's had, bring it back to life again, so that you can use it as a resource for whatever work you're going to do. What if they've never had the experience or a reference experience like the one that you want to use? What do you do then? At the back there, someone with microphones, could someone get fit running with microphones? Running, running, running. Who's going to get there first? Yay! Go ahead, James.
Well, if you lead a subject who's in hypnosis down a path into an experience, they will have it, and you will install false memory syndrome.
There you go. That's exactly right. Right? It wouldn't necessarily be a false memory. You can accidentally create a false memory. The more important thing is that hypnosis is a place where you create realities, you create experiences. So you can actually create an experience someone's never had, and as far as the mind is concerned, it'll be just as real. Now, you can encode that as a memory, in which case you have false memory syndrome, or you can encode that as a specific resource so people know it didn't actually happen, but it doesn't matter because they'll still experience it that way. Does that make sense? Go ahead.
I was going to say, in my personal practice, when I have people who haven't experienced something or they claim they have never felt a certain way, I ask them who they know in their life that do or has had that experience, and to basically take on their physiology and try to pretend they're them.
So now you have a process for doing what James said. It says one way of creating an experience is to fool them by saying, well, other people have had it. So now you're going to basically use what they witnessed as an externalized experience and internalize it so they get to actually have it. So the easiest way of doing this, go ahead.
Or can you just describe it so well that they believe it?
Thank you. Someone give this man a microphone because he needs to say that loud and proud.
Can't you just describe it so well that they believe that they're experiencing it?
That's exactly it, right? After all, this is what we do with hypnosis, isn't it? Now, if you can describe it with such, shall we not say detail, with such eloquent terms, that the experience literally awakens inside them, they've had the experience. One way to do that is exactly what you said over there, which is you find another person who's got that as a reference experience, and then get them to borrow that, but your descriptions are still the same. So whether you describe it purely, or whether you fool them with like kind of my friend John or your friend Jane, it doesn't matter. The point is, you're recreating an experience through your descriptions. So now we start using language slightly differently. The power words and the hypnotic themes have been one way of creating a resource. Now we're going to see if we can use that kind of language to actually create an experience which will end up being a resource. Does that kind of make sense to everyone? So how do we do that? Storytelling is an example. We're going to go more directly with this now, just for the sake of speed and for the sake of clarity for everyone. The simplest way to do that is, as you just said, you just describe it. In traditional terms, it's called a visualization. Okay? But when I say visualization, the reason I was avoiding the term for so long is so that you guys don't get the idea that it's a picture, it's a movie, look at this. Right? It's all the senses. I mean, what you're creating is an experience, not a picture. It's an experience, not a sound. It's an experience, not just a movie that they get to witness. It's an experience. Now, you saw an example of visualization on the bonus day with Rick, who can't visualize, right? So we have a man who can't visualizing things that he can't do. But then he gets to enjoy it. Did you enjoy the experience after all those damn kids got kicked out? Right? So here's the thing. I don't know what the percentages are, but a reasonable proportion, maybe somewhere between a quarter, a third, maybe a bit more, of the people that you meet will not, quote-unquote, be able to visualize. But they can. So any ideas of what you do when someone says they can't visualize, how you get them around that, so you can still give them the experience that you want them to have, even though they never had it? Go ahead, in the back. Anyone want to care to share a mic?
Instead of having them visualize in the visual system, you could have them imagine something in a different system, and then you can overlap them.
Right. So you can do overlap, which actually gets them to see pictures. That's a technique. The simplest way of doing it, though, go ahead.
I was just going to say revivification, because that's what you did with Rick over here. You found a memory that he had, a discrete memory. You took that discrete memory, and then you went and pulled out all the elements of it until you could, and then you did something with it.
Perfect. This is why I love asking the questions after you've actually done it, because that's exactly right. How about you use the very skill set you already have? When you revivify, how many people here, before you came here, were like Rick and didn't think they could visualize? Just one person? 2, 3, 4, right? A lot of people going, no, I could always visualize, it's just now I know. Well, this is abnormal. It'll normally be a much higher percentage, but not a too high a percentage. So all you do with them is exactly what you do. In a very casual way, you ask them about some past experience, usually a pleasant one, and then you start asking about visual information, auditory information, feeling-based information, and when they start giving you answers, then you can turn around and say, well, how do you know that? Now, whatever they're doing, in order to be able to give you that answer, that's what they want to be doing when you describe these other things. So you can use a neutral vocabulary like think about, imagine, consider, right? These aren't words, it's not a vocabulary that forces a particular type of thing. Whereas if you say visualize, see, hear, they might go, well, I can't hear sounds, I can't see this clearly. Does that make sense? But you're looking for the same signals, the same signs of the other person. In fact, you're looking for the exact same signs you saw in both of the previous 2 inductions you did just before lunch. That's what you're looking for. If you're getting that, then it's working. If you're not getting that, then you need to change or swap something around. Does that make sense to you guys? So we're going to start by doing, well, let's put it this way. The easiest way to avoid getting in trouble with a visualization with an individual, in case they can't visualize, is to start with a revivification, because then you know how they're doing it, and they know how they're doing it, and then just blend the revivification into a visualization, into an experience that you're creating for them. Do you see how that works? Because you're starting with a revivification, which everyone can do because they don't even know it's happening. Then you can use that as your trance induction, which you then hijack and mold into a new experience that they haven't had yet, using the same quality of experience that they had before.